everyone, and welcome. We're so happy that you're joining us here today. What Connie and I want to share is a little bit of our background and experience in helping people restore health and lose weight naturally. And it's something that started almost 30 years ago.
True.
Yeah, and it's a program that's developed that really focuses on restoring health rather than focusing on weight loss, because there's a principle about physiology that a healthy body doesn't carry excess weight. So by keeping our focus on health and restoring health, getting a real nice balance in our lives, the weight just falls off naturally. And we've been teaching this and sharing it with people for over 25 years. And what the results have been phenomenal.
That's true.
We've just been
Yeah.
so happy with what's going on.
Regardless of the condition they come to us with, they've had massive change, which is great.
Yeah, and it's almost magical. We'll tell you a little bit about the experiences that we've had with our own bodies restoring health. But just briefly, the way it works is that our bodies are designed to regenerate. Um, Old cells are constantly dying off and new cells are replacing them. That's the way the body works, day in and day out, 24/7. And if we give our bodies what they need to be healthy, then if we have a health condition, those old, weaker cells die off quite naturally, and the new cells that are produced can be healthier. So, restoring health is something that's designed into everybody's body. Every cell we have, the DNA has the design, the blueprint to function well. But it's kind of like I can have just this supercharged vehicle, like a Ferrari or something. And if I don't put the right fuel in, even my car in the garage, if I put diesel fuel in and it's designed to run really well on gasoline, regardless of how well it's designed to run, if I don't give it the right thing to run with, it
We
doesn't
have
perform
troubles.
well.
We have troubles. Yeah.
But
One thing that's so great about the body, you've probably noticed yourselves, when we're not on a really great track for the body to thrive, it will create little conditions. They're like a red flag going up saying, pay attention. I need you to pay attention to me. And if we don't pay attention, then a more serious or more deeply rooted condition occurs. So we're so lucky. The body wants us to have fabulous health, and it's always prompting us in that direction.
yeah, it's like the pain and discomfort of disease is almost like a little feedback loop.
Yes,
Not to say, oh, I'm weak, I'm bad, this or that. It's that I'm not getting what I need to function the way I'm designed to function.
exactly.
Yeah, right. And so what we have found, I'll just say real briefly here and we'll fill it out more later. What we found is what provides the body with what it needs to really thrive is a whole food, plant-based food plan. And we'll share a little bit about how we discovered that. Connie first came across it, 35 years ago with her first husband.
Yeah, he had a very serious life-threatening heart arrhythmia, and they gave him a ton of medications, which he hated. And we decided to go learn all about whole food, plant-based cooking in Boston. And within a year, he was off all his meds and every symptom was gone. And that really got my attention. I had to learn to cook in a new way, which I loved the learning. I loved the adventure of that. And I wasn't good at it, by the way, in the beginning. But like all of us, if we just give it a little attention, things get easier and easier. And then for me, Bill and I started a Healing Foods organic restaurant in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And we were working very, very long hours, really pushing the envelope. And I developed a very large fibroid tumor the size of a 6-month pregnancy, if you can believe that. People even asked me if I was pregnant. And so I discovered raw foods through a friend and wheatgrass juice at a place in San Diego, Optimum Health Institute. And within 2 weeks, the size of that large fibroid tumor shrunk to the size of an egg. Wow, did that get my attention? And not only that, my energy went up, even past my head. And I felt like a young child. Whoa, that was so beautiful. So the body spoke so clearly. There was no question that this was something I wanted to learn more about. And I went back to our restaurant and incorporated live foods, and people began to ask, well, teach us how you do this. So that was kind of the beginning.
Yeah, that was the beginning. Connie mentioned it was a lot of work to do this for the restaurant. And what we saw was that we could keep producing this food and feeding people well, but it's like that old adage, where you say, you give a man a fish, he'll eat well for a day. But if you teach him to fish, he'll eat well for the rest of his life. And in a way, we felt like it was kind of killing us, all that work. We're trying to help people be healthy. And so, we shifted from the restaurant to actually helping people understand how to eat this way, this diet and lifestyle that had changed our lives so much. And so that was Connie's experience, this kind of almost magical power that the body has to be healthy and thrive. And when I first met Connie, she was no longer with her first husband. And I was in a lot of pain. I had a lot of arthritic pain. And I was a jock. I was playing volleyball competitively. And after a weekend tournament, Connie would see the pain I was in. And I kind of lived with it because being athletic all my life, there was always some painful payoff to kind of stressing the body the way I liked to stress it. But she could see it was probably more than just from the activity. And she looked at my diet, and I was lacto-vegetarian, which meant for me, tons of cheese, cheesecake, half and half on breakfast, and all these things. And she said, well, have you ever thought about dropping the dairy? And it didn't make any sense to me because I was seeing an MD, a physiotherapist, a chiropractor, and an Ayurvedic physician about all that was going on with me. And I asked all of them, is there something that I should do around food? Are there some foods that would improve this or some things I should stay away from? Every one of them said it doesn't have anything to do with food. And they gave me exercises and things to do. And fortunate for me, Connie agreed to cook for me for 2 weeks. So I went onto this whole food, plant-based diet, which wasn't, well, it was. I was going to say it's not a huge shift because I was vegetarian, but it was huge in the fact that it eliminated all the processed foods and all the dairy. And those are inflammatory foods. We understand now, but that wasn't even in our vocabulary.
That's
back
true.
there in 1988.
True.
So it was my experience too, just like Connie had experienced the magic of the body to be able to restore health. My pain was 80% gone in 2 weeks. It was like that got my attention. So we were both kind of on this track, when something really wonderful happens in your life, don't you want everybody to experience that?
Yeah.
So we went out, started the restaurant, and then shifted it to help people learn to fish instead of just giving them fish. And we went from there. Now, it was very successful, but what we saw is what we see with so many food programs and especially dieting programs, is that people can have great results, but those great results don't seem to be enough sometimes to keep them on track. We could see there was like a mental emotional component that could trump the good results that they were having. And they would go back to some of their old lifestyle habits around food And sure enough, sometimes we'd see some people 6 months, 12 months after they had had these amazing results, gotten off their meds. I remember one woman who was so delighted to be able to get up and down off the floor again to play with her grandchild. And she said to us, "Oh, thank you so much. You have given me my life back." And to see her, I think it was maybe 10 or 12 months later, and she had gained the weight back, she had the pain back, and it was like, whoa, what happened? And she had simply just fallen back into the old lifestyle habits. So what we saw was it wasn't enough to learn and even experience the capacity the body had to really thrive on these foods. There was this mental emotional piece. So we tried everything we could think of. We taught some meditation techniques. We did the work with Byron Katie with
We
our
did
clients.
biofeedback machine.
Right.
Yeah.
We did everything we could think of, and people would have some results, but nothing stuck. And then about 3 years ago, we came across this new paradigm and understanding about how life works and the nature of the mind. And we saw this, the missing piece. It was like this missing link that we'd always been looking for in understanding how, through the nature of the mind, to see life in a certain way and always be solving problems, we're always looking to deal with the outside world and adjust that to make things work. So that's why people would be looking for those comfort foods, even though they had experienced what occurs when we go to the comfort foods. And we're able to, through the coaching we've learned with this new paradigm, to help people get that turned around. So we begin to not be hijacked by our old habits. We can begin to see life in a new way.
Well, what's interesting too that we've learned so much about is, we can be successful on a diet plan with willpower and determination for a certain period of time, but actually that fuels the weight problem itself. And so with this new understanding, we're able to show people how to learn to hear their own body's wisdom and utilize that for their choices around food. So with the plant-based whole food eating, people have amazing results. And what's important is that we can sustain those results. And we do that with teaching people to see this inner wisdom that guides them to thrive long term. It's so beautiful, such a lovely transformation. And the best news is you're always learning. You're always going deeper, you're always seeing more, you're always living fuller. And we just love that.
Yeah, and it's so beautiful because we all have this capacity. We all have this inner wisdom. It's almost like an inner GPS. Well, and we could refer to it too, just as common sense. We all have good common sense.
We do. Yeah.
When our minds are settled and we're able to see things, not in an all anxious mind, fight or flight kind of mentality. So yeah, it's wonderful. We incorporate the coaching with our program now, and people just find this so much more sustainable at undoing their old habits and really feeding their bodies in a way that they restore health and lose weight naturally.
Let's hear from Celine.
Yeah, good. Celine, do you want to come on and share what your experience has been with the program?
Sure. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, cool. So, hi everyone. I'm Celine. I'm from Berlin in Germany, and I'm a student here. And I came to Connie and Bill with some binge eating, overeating issues, and I always had troubles with perceiving my thoughts as not mine. I always thought they're me. I have to binge eat. I have to do this and that. And Connie and Bill really helped me to perceive thoughts in a new way and kind of take a step back and just observe my thoughts, to observe them, to just see what they are. They're just thoughts, and I'm not so invested in that anymore. I hope that makes sense. And yeah, and also the new understanding helped me in so many different other aspects of my life, like especially in my relationship and other kinds of habitual thinking I was having like troubles with. And yeah, I was really happy I did their program, and I can only highly recommend them.
Tell us about that last outfit you tried on, Celine.
Oh yeah, so I was always a size small, and after doing the program of Connie and Bill, I haven't really thought about like losing weight so much anymore, and everything was so like without pressure, and I didn't really think about food so much. And then my clothing size just went like naturally down, and I was a size extra small, which I was never before. So that was really nice. I didn't even like try to lose weight, and it just happened. And yeah, so that was really nice.
Yeah, it's a great example, a great demonstration of how our bodies will bring us into balance. In the same way that our bodies are designed to balance our blood pressure, if we're running, it raises our blood pressure because we need more blood pressure. And when we rest, it lowers it. We have this built in mechanism to always find balance. And that is part of the system that keeps our weight balanced as well. So when we feed the body in a way that it really is designed to function, weight, excess weight just falls off naturally. I think that's great.
Yeah, thank you,
Well,
Celine.
and one other thing that's been fun working with Celine too is that sometimes there would be issues. She would show up a bit stressed about something that was going on with her relationship with her boyfriend. And how often have we experienced when we have stress in our lives, we reach for food as the remedy. So this is what's so beautiful about bringing this coaching element, this understanding into the whole program, because it's one thing to know what to eat, but if we don't know how to deal with the stress in our lives, then we're still always just kind of medicating, or we're trying to use willpower to deal with our situation. And so this gives us the capacity to support our clients in seeing their relationships differently, because that's where we get blindsided, right? When things are close to us, like my spouse, my kids, and we reach to food. So we can help them open up and see how to create a healthy relationship with another person in the same way that they're learning to create a healthy relationship with their food. So it's this new paradigm isn't just limited to how I deal with food in my life, it's how I relate to life. So all relationships in our lives are influenced by it.
Well, one thing I really love too, we encourage people to drop inflammatory foods and to give the plant based whole food a shot and see how their bodies respond, because the body loves it. So you really get connected to your body's wisdom. And then at the end of the program, we support them to listen within to their own guidance, not follow any plan, not follow any outer authority, but follow within their own wisdom's guideline. And so you transcend all food plans, which is wonderful.
Yeah, the whole idea is just getting back to our own wisdom and internal GPS in the same way that the body knows how to regulate blood pressure to accommodate the activity that's going on. Our bodies know what's needed. It's like we have this built-in physician in a way.
That's true.
Much better than any other physician could be. And so it's just learning to hear the body's signals, that wisdom of the body. So that's a lot what we work with people around too, is listening to your body. In fact, Connie encourages people when they first start, when you go shopping, begin to actually develop the sensitivity for what your body's looking for by seeing what you're drawn to there in the produce section.
Yeah, true. And I'm having this question that I'm distracting myself with. I don't see us on the large screen. Are we on the large screen?
When we're talking.
When we're talking. Okay, I just wanted to make sure of that. Yeah, and another thing is what I love most of all about what we do is supporting people to really experience great health. That's my first love because of my own challenges that I've had in the past and how great I feel at this stage in life.
Mhm.
And how great my energy is at this stage in life. And then also, I love we do all these wonderful recipes because some years ago, my journeys around the world were to find the ideal meal, the peak experience of food. And the way we eat now is I just have no desire for the finest chef in the world to make me anything. Our food is so delicious. And after we eat every meal, we feel amazing.
Yeah, I think what I would add to that is that before I started eating this way, so much of my um, mm, so much of my desire or my relationship with food was about the experience that I would have with food. Take care of that.
Mhm.
And so I was looking for, I mean, I loved food and I would often end it with, I mean, what I was looking for was one of those double chocolate midnight blackout cakes, you know, I mean, it was all about this experience with food. And so that was my criteria, what my experience of the food was. And I never paid much attention. Well, I was aware of it, but didn't pay much attention to how my body felt afterwards. And I was young and strong and, you know, a lot of athleticism. So I kind of burned off the extra calories and all that. But what I see now is like the lunch we had today. We had this simple polenta with some black beans that we made, beautiful greens on the side. And when I have that meal, instead of this big experience kind of happening kind of from the neck up, a lot of taste buds and a lot of other stuff going on, my whole body kind of settles and goes, thank you. And so it's a very different experience. It's like I eat for a different reason now. My relationship with food has so changed. And it makes it, like Connie was saying, I'm not looking for the ultimate experience in a meal. I love that my body loves what I eat.
Let's hear from Michelle now.
Okay.
Michelle, will you share?
I'm up. Okay. Hi, guys. First of all, I'll just say I love Connie and Bill in general. I know them, so that's what the big draw to the program was to me, but they're amazing coaches. A little bit about my background. I didn't have to worry too much about what I ate in my younger years. And then a couple years ago, I had a hysterectomy and I started noticing with the natural aging process and the hysterectomy that things in my body were shifting. And I am one that did not think food was very important. I was always in a hurry, tied to my planner. So, you know, my schedule didn't allow to eat mindfully, just rushing along in life. And I really didn't have to worry about it because from the outside, for all intents and purposes, it looked like everything was good. And then realizing after the hysterectomy and starting to see changes in the body that the nutrition is so very important. And, you know, realizing that the time in the kitchen, the time with the food and preparing the food was important. So not only, you know, did I want to hear more about how Connie and Bill coach and what they do, but the nutrition piece, which is not a piece that I'm an expert in, obviously was a great way to get into the program and see what they had to offer. So the program is great. The initial program is the 6 weeks and you get so many recipes and so much information, and you get a personal coaching call each week, which is awesome. And there's a group call on Saturdays, and that is so great because you actually like go right into their kitchen with them and they show you what they're doing. And so you can actually see that these things real people are doing these things and incorporating them into their life, and you can ask questions. So that's really great. For me, it was just opening up a little bit to the fact that greens are an option, because in my way of thinking, I would go in and I would look at a menu or go to the grocery store, and it was like a joke between me and my husband, because the produce section, like for me, it didn't even exist. I'm like way down, past it, whatever. Or if I'm looking at the menu, it's like the salads, I didn't even look at them. And so now just opening up to the fact that that is an option for me. And it's not a strict and regimented program. They work with you. There's creativity there. We got to thinking about the recipes like as art. So as Connie showed me, you can substitute things in there, you can kind of make it your own. So that was really interesting for me. And the biggest piece, I think, is just being more mindful and present with your body wisdom, and the nutrition and the food going into your body and fueling your body for the best outcome. And so that I've gotten to the point where I don't want to watch TV and eat. I just want to be with my food and see how it's going through my body. It's kind of an amazing connection. And for the more regimented programs where you're doing like the mixed powders and all of that, I don't think it's the same experience as getting the leafy greens, the more plant-based diet, and having that actual experience with real raw food. So yeah, do you guys have anything else you want me to talk about, or?
Well, I just want to say it's been so much fun working with you, Michelle, because for those of you that don't know Michelle, she loves to travel. And with COVID, it's kind of been not what she loves most. But working with you, Michelle, it's like you've taken this whole relationship with food as a journey. And it's been so fun to see you open to the new things like we do when we travel and there's new cultures and everything. She's just opened so much, and it's been so much fun.
No, thanks. Yeah, it's definitely been great for this time period to have this new journey, definitely.
Yeah. And like Michelle, many other clients who have mentioned that there's this whole realm of food they didn't know existed.
Sure.
And it's been so much fun to discover what's possible. So yeah, it's a lot of fun that way.
One thing I wanted to ask you about, Michelle, I'd love if you'd share. I saw you open so much during the program around your true nature, even. And you were very open to that before you joined us. But I just was impressed by that. I wondered if you could say anything about
Oh, I don't know, you guys. That's like an ever unfolding journey for me, right? But with the food piece of it, like that's it, the past couple years, that part has been kind of sticking in there. So I think when I got into the program, I started talking to you guys. I started seeing that that this paradigm that we all coach from. Food is no different. Like the food is not the exception. The food is a part of our essence, and there is a wisdom to how we eat, and it's a very individual experience, but also there's a collective piece to it too. So I think that kind of helped me open up around the food portion of it, and then I could take that into other areas as well.
that. Great.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
beautiful.
Thanks, Michelle.
And something that Michelle touched on is in this program, there's no restriction. We give guidelines, whole food, plant-based. We feel that's the way to go. Give your body 6 weeks. It's anti-inflammatory. It eliminates by its definition all inflammatory food groups. So that's a big step for the body to experience. And then the whole foods, a wide variety of whole foods, gives the body that whole profile of nutrients it needs for everything to function properly. But we've seen how it doesn't work to just give a diet and say, Tuesday's broccoli, Wednesday's cauliflower. And so it needs to be married with this freedom. Otherwise, it's not sustainable. What I think we all ultimately want to lead our lives with is our hearts. not what we should do.
Yeah,
It's
that's
what we
true.
love to do, what we're drawn to do. And we saw that we need to incorporate that into the program as well. So as much as we start with these guidelines around whole food plant-based, whatever comes up, we encourage you to experience and follow from your own inner intelligence. So we touched a little bit on the difference between common sense and cravings. And these cravings that come up when we're under stress, particularly for the chocolate chip cookies or the potato chips or whatever it is, um, they come up as a result of a busy mind. And at least for me, when I used to eat that way, I didn't really experience my food. It's like I was feeding my emotions instead of feeding my body. And so that pattern would always come up. I feel stress. I can feed those emotions. It's gone temporarily. Okay. Side effects, not so good. Lots of pain. So with the coaching, we've seen that we can actually allow everybody to experience whatever's coming up for them because we have this inner GPS that will always bring us back to balance. So what we do is we encourage everybody to follow the impulses that come, particularly from the common sense. And if they are eating something that's like off the program, then eat it with presence. Don't restrict yourself. Eat it with presence. And it's so interesting because that can actually deepen our experience or our relationship with food. In the same way that I remember when I was in business in a corporate situation, there would be people that worked around me that you'd kind of know, hi, John, good to see you this morning. And you go about your way. And then something would come up and you would be thrown together and have to really dig in and make things work.
Yeah.
You'd get to know that person so differently than when everything was just going smooth. So when we go off the program, if we get present, we can learn so much more about that food, what's driving us to eat that food, and what that food's really doing in our bodies. And it kind of wakes up our inner intelligence. It kind of wakes up that inner physician so that in the future, when I feel stress and I think potato chips, there's now kind of a new, almost a new neural pathway, a new relationship with those that has me holding it lighter. So it isn't so compelling. I don't get hijacked like I used to. Yeah. So shall we go on to Shelley?
Yeah, let's hear from Shelley.
Shelley, I think you're on. We'd love to hear a little bit about your experience too.
Sure. Let me know if you guys can hear me and see me.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's good.
Good. Okay, so I'll rely on you to maybe ask me some questions to prompt me along the way, if that's okay. I think when I first started with you guys, with Bill and Connie, I heard them on a podcast that I'd been following that I still am. I'm still trying to understand, and this is the mental piece that they're talking about. I've been exploring it for several months with them, and I'll tell you guys about like the massive results that I've had in my life, including better relationships, like crazy, like a best friend, and wonderful relationships around my life, just being open to these things. And yeah, I've had huge shifts in my whole life because of this work that we've been doing. So it's been pretty awesome, even financial windfalls and stuff, right? But back to when I first, it was kind of one of those leaps of faith from me to decide to work with Bill and Connie, because I had been, I mean, just prior to that last year, I was in a program that cost just over $10,000. It was a year and a half that I worked with a coach on, you know, weight loss and fitness and health. And it was very regimented in the foods that I ate. And it was, you know, writing things down, and very A-type, which I tend to be. So it kind of fit with me, but I didn't get the results, and I ended up very frustrated. And so I took a leap of faith with Bill and Connie, and I think I even said to you guys, I was like, I don't even understand where we're going, but let's go. And then I decided to be open about it, and everything you guys gave me, I just devoured the materials, and I Like, I mean, I think in the first week you said to make beans, and I don't eat beans. I didn't even know what they were. And now I eat beans every day. But so I went through the first part of the program, and I mean, I lost the weight I was at. I got, and without even noticing, I think at one point, I think halfway through, Connie said, well, did you weigh yourself? And I hadn't even, because I felt so good. I was able to do fitness programs, I would say twofold what I was doing before. So what I mean is, if I could do 20-minute workouts, now I could do an hour in my day. I felt physically good. The inflammation was down. My knees didn't ache anymore. Like, all those things went so well for me. Just changing the food and getting out dairy and meats and stuff like that. And even coffee. And don't let that scare you away, because Connie's got a good alternative that I actually adopted. Trust me, that was scary, giving up coffee. But it wasn't in the end, but the sound of it sure was. So so I guess, yeah, that's kind of my journey, was just to intuitively decide that that's somewhere I needed to be, and with you guys, and I'm so glad. And you've coached me each week of my life through the ups and downs of things, like Bill, like that you were just describing, the stresses that come up, and the reactions that we have, and how I was reacting and how I react now. I mean, I feel like just a stronger, better person, to move forward in my life, and be able to participate in the world, and help other people, and so, yeah, I don't know, what is there any questions that kind of prompts for you guys that you want to know?
Well, I remember when we first started, and coffee was an issue, and it's like, I like my coffee. I don't think I'm giving that up. And so I think Connie encouraged you to just get really present with your next cup of coffee and see how your body receives it. See what the experience really is. Really love it and just taste it and smell it. And I think you told me that after you did that with presence, it's like, I didn't even like the taste of coffee. Is that?
It's so strange to me. When people make coffee around me now, and I used to love that smell, it's just so gross. It's the strangest thing.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
we're not trying to promote the fact that you're going to get off coffee. That's up to you.
no.
But it's interesting how it opens up the possibility that my habits and what I think I love and have to have in my life may not actually be serving me, and I actually may be happier without them if I'm willing to explore it.
Yeah, and I mean, and the benefits from that, I mean, I don't know exactly what they were, because you can't really separate out what food is doing what, but I mean, just the less inflammation in my body, and not, not having the coffee jitters, or the uh I already have a busy mind, so I don't really need too much more of that.
That's
So,
good.
yeah,
Thank
Yeah,
you,
thanks so
Shelley.
much.
Beautiful.
thank you.
So yeah, and just to say too that we didn't discover this idea of the value of whole food plant-based. We got into it because we had our own personal experience, and we love how much more research and MDs and physicians are actually promoting the whole food plant-based food plan now, because it really does support the body with what it needs. And I mean, as far back as I remember when I first heard that, was it Hippocrates that said, let food be your medicine and let medicine be your food. And this, through our own personal experience, we found is true. And we just love having the opportunity to be able to share this with others. And there's so much research and support around this food plan. But where I feel it really gets traction in a person's life is when we don't feel like this food plan, now I'm whole food plant-based, or now I'm vegan. So I don't like the label of vegan or vegetarian, because that can have a lot of processed foods in it. And these processed foods are inflammatory, for one thing, and can be as much problem for the body as lots of other inflammatory foods. So to be able to be completely free to eat whatever we want and listen within to what to really eat, our bodies will naturally be drawn to the non-inflammatory foods. Our bodies will naturally be drawn to what provides us with the wide variety of foods that we need. So we go ahead.
Let's talk about the program and get into
Oh
questions.
yeah, Michelle gave a great summary, but you want to go over those points again?
Yeah, so the course is 6 weeks, as Michelle said, and there are 2 video lessons every week that take us deeper into what we're experiencing on the food level and on the thinking level. And then we also have lots of recipes every week. You get a one-on-one coaching, as Michelle said, and there's a great weekly community call. We love those calls. Everybody learns from everyone else. And we do a private Facebook page that's great to post things that you're discovering and creating in your food with others. And we learn from each other in that way as well.
Yeah, it's really fun. So we want to open it up for questions. If anyone on the webinar has a question, I'll just kind of summarize what we've been saying, which is something that we discovered when we first started teaching people as a way to kind of encapsulate the essence of the program. And that's to eat a wide variety of organic, high nutrient dense whole foods. And we want a wide variety because it's that wide variety that gives that wide variety of nutrients. Different parts of the body need different nutrients. So we always want to keep exploring and bringing in a wide variety of foods. A wide variety of organic, we really encourage organic because obviously the non-organic foods that are grown with herbicides and pesticides, those residues, they use those on those plants to kill bugs and weeds. And they don't do a lot of good in our bodies either. So
especially in the microbiome.
Yeah. So organic is important. High nutrient dense is kind of the default if you're eating whole food vegetables. And the other is whole foods. Yeah, okay. So high nutrient whole foods.
State.
Yeah, together. Yeah. If you eat a food that's not in a package, box, glass, jar, or something like that, it's probably in its whole foods condition. And that's the way that nature packaged it. If we eat our foods the way they were naturally packaged, all the nutrients that are in those foods are still quite stable and available to us. When we start to refine foods, what I was saying about vegans, I mean, you can live on donuts as a vegan, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be healthy. When we process foods, some of the nutrients are actually removed, and the fact that the nutrients that are still there are exposed to the air, lots of times they oxidize. So nature has learned how to preserve the nutrients in the food because most of these foods, I'm looking at an apple now, it has to protect itself in order to make sure that that seed, when it falls and gets into the ground, can grow a tree. The nutrients are still there in a very healthy and useful state. When we process it, when we chop that up, we make applesauce out of it, we're still eating getting the nutrients, but not in the same way as when we have it in the whole food form.
Great. So let's pause and see if anyone would like to ask a question.
Okay, so Dave gave the instruction.
You can ask anything. We love to share whatever you'd like to hear about.
And Dave put the instruction on how to raise your hand if you want to raise your hand by going into the participants page. Or if someone has a question and you just want to unmute yourself, we'll take it that way too. So.
Or comment.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yes.
Hi, thank you so much for this great presentation. Have a quick question about seafood. Is seafood also a part of whole food plant-based?
Wait, it doesn't fit into the plant-based side of it. It fits into the side of it.
Okay, cool. Because I'm a huge seafood lover. I just don't think I would just, directly the first week I jumping and then give up everything.
Sure, how we can go at.
Well, you know what we do? We say you have a choice. you can drop an inflammatory food group each week and see how your body responds. You don't need to jump right in, or you can jump right in and see how your body responds. So that would give you a chance when you got to the seafood part, let it go just for a week. And then you get really present with how it impacts the body. We're not coming from just memory or routine, but it's up to you. You don't even have to let go of it. We can work with you in that way as well. And we have done that many times before.
Wonderful. And I think I have another question. I also think Celine, she would be able to help me as well. I've been struggling with eating disorder for a long time as well, and I wonder, this is this something we can all work together, and also how long I have to be a part of this whole program. I know there is like 6 weeks that Michelle brought it up, but I know like people would also be able to just work alongside with you guys all the way through. So I just wonder what's the options and what's the expectations, I think. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we have the 6-week program, which is kind of the first part of the journey, and we then offer advanced programs after that, and we often continue with people just on the coaching side of it. So that is an ongoing thing. We have lots of different ways that people can continue to work with us at the level that really serves them best. And maybe Celine, do you have anything to say about how the coaching works? I know so often we think, oh, it's going to take a long time to really break this old habit. But what was your experience, Celine?
So my experience was that I got a lot from the private coaching calls because Connie and Bill, like really, they were able to focus just on me. Like it's great to talk in a group and learn from each other, but it's really valuable to have these one-on-one coaching calls, and you can really talk about certain thought patterns you have, which I know can be really like scary or pressuring when you have like binge eating disorder. And the aspect about the time, I would say it comes down to the individual. I made a lot of progress in those 6 weeks, but I also made so much progress in the weeks after. It's just a new understanding that unfolds like after the program stops. Like I'm still learning like months or weeks after the program. So I think there will be always new insights you get from it, but there's no certain time where you can, or where can Connie and Bill tell you, oh, it's over in 3 months. Like it's very individual and how, yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah, and I love that too. That what I hear you saying, Celine, is rather than getting help to deal with one particular issue, we learn how to deal with the issue instead of putting a band-aid on something so we don't binge eat for 6 weeks or something. We begin to learn the dynamics of the binge eating so that we can kind of, what comes to my mind, reverse engineer. We kind of see through the way we're getting hijacked. And so even when after the program, because we now have this understanding, we have the capacity to continue to grow and expand and get healthier with our relationship with food and with ourselves. So yeah, it's more like teaching you how to fish instead of just giving you a fish.
And we also offer, after the 6 weeks, you can just do the community call once a week if you prefer. And we do a free blog every week with a new recipe. So there are a lot of resources that we offer.
Did that answer your question?
Did that answer
Yes.
your question?
And also, I wonder, Celine, how long have you been working with Bill and Connie by this point?
I'm not sure. When did I start? Connie and Bill?
I think it was April, so that's it's about 6 or 7 months.
Okay, Gotcha. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
That's all.
And we want to invite, if you have an interest, to go on our, how do they do a free consultation?
Oh, yeah. So we'll put our website up on the screen toward the end, and you can go on there and click the button for free consultation, and we'll give you a free 30-minute consultation to go over the program more, give you instructions on how to sign up and take it forward from here.
Or like US, if you have deeper questions, we'll address those too. Anything you want to know more about.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Yeah. So Dave, actually what I'm thinking, can you put our website in the chat box for people? Because I had a slide on my computer, but we're on Connie's computer, so I don't have access to it. Can you put, and I think you can share your screen too, Dave. If you could put a quick, just a Word doc with that on.
Okay.
And we'll share the screen at some point so that it's actually embedded in the recording. That would be great.
Okay.
Does it have
You-
a website?
You mind if I share something real quick?
Oh, I'd love to.
At one point, I weighed 300 pounds. That was in 2010. And I went through Weight Watchers and I started to lose weight there through their system. But I also realized that you could lose weight with horrific foods through Weight Watchers. And so I wasn't feeling that energy. I wasn't feeling that vibrancy that they talked about. And then I came across Brandon Brazier, who was an athlete, plant-based athlete. Just happenstance came across that guy and just could not believe the amount of abilities he had as a young man. And so I started researching plant-based whole foods diet that way. Within 3 years, I took my time, but within 3 years, I lost 115 pounds and I've never gained it back. So
Beautiful.
just want to throw that out there. But I'll go work on that now, Bill.
Great, thanks, David. It reminds me too, there's a great documentary on Netflix right now called The Game Changers, which is talking about a lot of elite athletes and professional athletes that have gone whole food plant-based and how they all comment on it's actually upped their game.
Yeah, that's so
Where,
good.
you know, the thinking has always been you need all this kind of meat protein to stay strong and bulk up and all the rest. So that's a fun thing to explore if you want to see a little more. It's called The Game Changers.
Anyone else want to make a comment or share or a question? Sheila, I'd love it if you'd share.
Yeah, we were thinking, Sheila, what you've shared recently, how two of your boys watched The Game Changers and kind of changed their tune and they've seen the results you've had. You want to talk about it? Sheila on?
She was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
there
is.
she is.
I was hoping I can do it without seeing me because I didn't have time to get decent.
Oh, you're fine.
Yes, I watched The Game Changers as well, and I have been eating plant-based whole foods for about almost 4 years now. And I got into it because I had rheumatoid arthritis and was taking a medicine that I didn't want to take. It was one that destroys your liver. And Connie helped me. And I totally got off the meds. I wasn't, even when I took the medications, wasn't able to go upstairs too well or do anything too well, walking, etc. But after I started eating the program, the plant-based whole foods, I go walking over a mile every day. It was just remarkable to me. Connie helped me kind of wean off of the medication, and it was the easiest thing I have ever done. I was so scared I was going to get all that pain back Well, instead, I became pain-free. I just don't have any pains. And I'm very active with the walking. So
Another testament to the body's capacity to restore health,
Yeah.
to come
Yeah.
back to balance, regardless of our age, right, Sheila?
I'm very, very old. But I don't feel as old as I am, believe me.
Great. And tell them about your weight loss, Sheila. That's a great thing.
Oh, that wasn't my primary reason for eating that way, but it sure was a nice side effect. But it's the first different food program I've ever been on where if you cheat now and then, you don't gain back all the weight. If you stay on it and without cheating too much, I cheat every now and then, but I am amazed when I step on the scales and my weight just seems to maintain. I don't gain it back. I haven't gained it back. I've lost about 40, 45 pounds. And if I get really good at it, I could probably lose the rest of the weight I would like to get off. So it's just, it was a miracle to me. I'm so grateful to Connie and Bill. I really thought I'd end up in a wheelchair.
Wow. And that, I think, Sheila is Connie's sister. So we have a vested interest here. And the thing for me, Sheila, was that felt so good is as you got off that med, I just have such a feeling about the side effects of meds, and particularly that one. It's like something lifted off my heart when you were able to get off that med. I just was so delighted. Yeah.
Me too.
Thank you, Sheila.
Sure.
So yeah, I think we might be wrapping it up here if there aren't any more questions. It seemed like there was one other thing I had to share. Do you have that document you can share on your screen right now, Dave?
Bill, I put the your website link in the chat here, so everyone should be able to either copy it, paste it.
Yeah, so it's www.amazinghealtheffortlessly.com. Yep, so there it is. So if you'd like that free 30-minute consultation, go onto our website. You'll see it's available there. And we'll have a little Zoom call or a phone call with you, and we can take it from there.
Yeah, and don't feel like you have to want to do the program to have the consultation. We'd just love to get to meet you and share anything that would serve you in your journey.
Yeah, I think that's what's really fueled this the most. I mean, it's wonderful to help people to feel better in their lives. The real satisfaction comes in the connection that we make with everyone. I mean, I feel like we have this ever-growing family because when we do this coaching and we share these changes in our lives, it just brings us so close, and we feel so blessed to have all of you in our lives. So thank you for joining us.
That's true.
Yeah.
Thanks for your help, Dave. Thanks everybody for showing up.
Yep, and we hope to see you again. Take care now.
Thank you, Connie. Thank you, Bill.
Sure.